Hey everyone, it's Leilani for God, and I'm back with another video. So in this one, we're going to launch an investigation into YouTube content creator World News, also goes by King World 2020, and Beam Team Productions. All right, so we're going to look at his arrest record a little bit, as well as there are well over 70 different people who have made videos exposing world news, and it adds up to about 140 different videos. So we'll talk a little bit about that, as well as what do we expect from each other as fellow content creators. World News considers his YouTube channel to be his job. So if this is your job, why are you interacting with your colleagues like you are a bully running a prison yard? There's definitely some mental health aspects, potentially, and allegedly some substance abuse going on, according to the allegations of people who have exposed him. So I went on Google, I typed in his name, which is on YouTube. I told you guys in my other video that I did exposing Donat. I only refer to people by how they refer to themselves on social media. So whatever you call yourself on YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or wherever you are in social media, that's how I'm going to refer to you. And I would not reveal any information on people that's not revealed already through the individual social media. So here we have 9 years ago, World News posted this video on YouTube as Marquisio Watson, which is his real name. So this was 9 years ago. All right. So I did a Google search for Marquisio Watson. I found his arrest record here, some of it. I don't think this is all of it. There are other videos that show more, and I'll show you that in a few minutes. But it says here that he served, or he had a term of incarceration of 10 years and 2 months for felony robbery with a dangerous weapon. Okay. It also says, I guess the details of that case: robbery with a dangerous weapon and failure to stop for an accident. It says that his probation got revoked in the past for possession of a Schedule II substance, which is indication of drugs. All right. And let's see. It looks like the same charges as above, but the dates are different. So he has robbery with a dangerous weapon felony back in 1998 at the bottom of the screen, as well as in 2005, and what looks like his conviction date was 2006 at the top. All right, so apparently there's more than one robbery, and there's definitely possession of Schedule II drugs based on that. What is classified as a Schedule II drug, which is like a higher offense than a Schedule I drug? Examples of Schedule II narcotics, notice the word narcotics, include hydromorphone, diluted methadone, Demerol, oxycodone, oxycontin, Percocet, fentanyl, morphine, opium, codeine, hydrocodone. These are all derivatives or synthetic forms of heroin. So I'm not sure if he was caught, with it in a pill form, because all of these narcotics that are listed here seem to be what people can get in prescriptions. But over the years, people have increasingly switched from powdered drugs to pills. So apparently he had some of that in his possession at a felony level. All right. So this is the video he put up on YouTube 9 years ago. 9 years ago was 2014. All right. Now in 2018, he got a failure to comply. I don't know the details of that. It says here that he was under the supervision of the Department of Corrections in North Carolina. And below that, in 2019, a fellow YouTuber who goes by the name of Crenshaw filed a harassment case against Marquisio A. Watson in the jurisdiction of Los Angeles County. All right. So he had all kinds of charges from 1996 through 20. What is that? It says projected release date August 15, 2013. So from 96 to 2013, he racked up a bunch of armed robbery and drug possession charges. Okay. And then he got on YouTube when he got out of jail in 2013, because it says 9 years ago. All right. Which would have been 2014. And then in 2018, he had a failure to comply. In 2019, Crenshaw pressed charges of harassment against him, a fellow YouTuber, female. Now, I couldn't find the videos that explained what happened between World and Crenshaw, but I remember it was said that she was crying online saying that he released naked pictures of her. I guess some type of revenge porn or something, allegedly. So I just want you to understand that he's getting into these conflicts now with fellow YouTubers that are of a nature that wind up in court. So he's still criminal minded. After all of the years that he's been in and out of jail, he's still doing things that lands him in court. So I went ahead and made a playlist for you guys on my Leilani for God channel, World News Exposed. There's 138 videos in there. All right. Now, I'm not world news. It took me, I don't know, like 2 weeks to put this together. Every couple of days when I would remember, I would just put in the YouTube search bar, World News 2020, King World, Beam Team, you know, different variations of those words, World News Exposed, you know, and I just kept finding videos and I just kept adding them to the playlist. So it finally added up to 138. And I decided to stop looking for the videos because that's more than enough. And these videos have been made by well over 70 different content creators on YouTube. It spans over the course of 4 years. And it also covers different sectors that World News has been in. He's been uncivilized towards human beings in every sector that he's been in. He started off in the Kanika Jenkins sector. He then went over to the Nature Boy sector. Then he went over to the Young Pharaoh sector. Now he's in the Jaguar Wright sector. And the funny thing is, he loves to accuse other people of chasing clout. But the people that he's been chasing around, he does when they're trending. So he's the one that's chasing clout. Inside of that playlist with 138 videos, I might go over it at the end of this video if this video doesn't go on too long, or I'll make a separate video to go over the playlist and talk a little bit about what I know about the videos that I did watch in it. Obviously, I did not watch all of those videos. And honestly, I would tell you, read the comments. I wouldn't even say you even have to watch all of the videos. Just read the comments. The comments tell you exactly how people feel about him. Okay? People are using words like narcissist, energy vampire, sociopath, psychopath, criminal, stalker, abusive. Okay? People are using really strong language regarding world news. I've never seen anything like this on social media thus far. This video says, World News, nigga, you gay. Back chat Fred. This video is in the playlist. World News made a post of men who've had surgical enhancements to look like women, and so that they could perform as sex workers. And actually, I have a screenshot from a gay male YouTuber who said that he knows of gay men who had breast implants and butt injections and put on a wig just for the purpose of doing sex work to make money. I forgot to add that screenshot to show you guys to go along with this picture, but I'll cover it in my next video. Anyway, all 5 of these pictures are men, and so that's why their butts are up, because that's the only hole that, you know, I guess World News would be able to stick anything in. So World News says, out of his own mouth, World News says, "Don't be lying. This stuff y'all know. Weirdo sister. So how y'all like 1 through 5? Which one? I like 2. Yeah, I like to be standing up. And I said I like 2 and 1. 5 straight. But you know, we all adults in this. So let's just keep it real. No, so we're going to have a freak nasty tool, and it's going down." All right. So the transcript did the best they could to pick up on his prison talk. He speaks like an illiterate person. All right. I don't know how people can listen to that repetitive nonsense, jumbled up, mixed up pseudoscience ideas. I'll be debunking all of his fake knowledge in my next video. He has like 0 knowledge, and people who listen to him have 0 knowledge because they think that because he uses the word science, that he's speaking of science. None of the things that he calls science are actual sciences. Okay? People are just so severely undereducated that they would actually think that this guy is smart. Now, if you go look at my Jaguar Right Tokyo Tony challenge, I list how you guys can actually take self-inventory and take control of your life. That's useful information. I've never heard World News give any relevant or useful information that you can apply to your life and become a better person. He rambles about a whole bunch of nonsense and people just buy into it because they want to. But that's what happens when you don't have a relationship with God. Any old demonic spirit can tell you anything and you just believe it. Anyway, so what World News was saying is that he put up this picture of these 5 men with their butts up in the air, these men in wigs. He's saying to the audience, pick which one you like, number 1 through number 5. He's saying that he prefers number 2 and number 1. He's saying number 5 is straight, meaning he likes number 5 is good for him, but he likes to do it standing up. So he would pick number 2 and number 1 because he likes to do it standing up. And he says something about a freak nasty. So he knows that it's going to be something, you know. And I showed you guys that people who worship the devil, Pan, the goat, Lucy, whatever they want to call it, part of the culture of being a demonic spirit is participating in anal sex. It's one of their rituals. I showed you guys the pictures on that. Okay. Anyway, World News has a video here talking about run the receipts. All right. So I'm running the receipts, world. You spent 10 hours online talking about run some receipts. And according to World, if I heard him correctly, the few times I have listened to his channel, when he interviews people that I'm interested in, I don't just watch his channel. I fast forward past his random talking to try to get through the interviews. It's very difficult. He rambles a lot. Things that don't matter, things that don't make sense. Just a lot of time wasted. So I fast forward a lot. And I have to fast forward through his panels as well, because they call building, but most of the time they start off on an incorrect premise. They speculate, and they call speculating building. You're not building, you're brainstorming. You have not even built anything. What have they built? A whole bunch of fake, false, so-called knowledge. That's exactly what the serpent promised Eve in the Garden of Eden. Oh, you eat of this tree, you will have knowledge of good and evil. Okay? And World sit up there and run his mouth. He mixes up a whole bunch of Moorish science temple garbage with 5% nation garbage. Then he claims he's Muslim. And then he speaks on he grew up in a family that practiced voodoo and did root work and saw witch doctors. So he's all mixed up. He also claimed that he was a imam in prison, which is like a Muslim prayer leader. He said he was the highest imam in the prison. So why aren't you observing Ramadan? Why don't you pray 5 times a day? Why are you all mixed up talking about all of these different pseudo religions? But sometimes you claim you're Muslim. It doesn't make any sense. You're not observing any of the standards of morality of a Muslim, of a Moorish person in a Moorish science temple, of a 5%er. Even people who believe in root work and voodoo and witch doctors like World does, he claims that if a person has a cat and a dog, that means that they're high vibrational and very spiritual. That's what World believes. He will sit up there and give praise to Noble Drew Ali, who is a Freemason. Okay, I already debunked the Moorish Science Temple and all of their philosophy as Freemasonry. I did a video, Moorish equals Freemason. So it's so funny how they sit over there and think that they're conspiracy theorists and they're so smart. It's like 10 people over there. They can't put all of their heads together and figure out that World don't know nothing. Now he's talking a whole bunch of jumbled up stuff. And when you pick it apart, each thing that he's talking about, he doesn't live up to the moral code of all of these different mixed up religions that he runs his mouth about. Which one of them does he practice and which one of them does he live up to? Even the witch doctors have a code of conduct of how you're supposed to carry yourself and keep your spirit clean. So he spends 10 hours on the internet and supposedly he has 2 children, right? Scripture talks about a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. And he just posted on his page last night that he was visiting his grandchildren or they were visiting him. And I'm like, wow, you spend 10 hours a day online talking about Kanika Jenkins for years, Nature Boy for years, Young Pharaoh for years, now Jag for years. And people say Jaguar Wright picks a person and she gets fixated on them. That's exactly what World does. Right? So you spend 10 hours a day on the internet, even though you have children and grandchildren. How much money have you put up for your grandchildren? Have you paid for your children to go to college? Did you pay child support for your kids? Did you live up to your duties and responsibilities as a parent? Because I don't understand how you have 10 hours a day to be on YouTube. These are some videos from the, what is it called, playlist that I put together for you guys. This one, I watched it. It was really good. And it just came out yesterday on Queen Tulsa's page. Exclusive victim shares experience. One of World News's mods made some allegations that World News is not safe around women nor children. The person's name is Saint LaShawn the Don, and they have their own channel. And I put all of the videos that they did on World News on this playlist. It's at the bottom of the playlist, not because there's anything wrong with the videos. It's just that there were so many. I just decided to put them at the bottom because it's like 8 or 10 videos of Saint LaShawn the Don, an ex-mod of World News, exposing him. But in this video that Saint LaShawn the Don did on Queen Tulsa's channel yesterday, Saint LaShawn says that World News did allegedly beat up a woman so bad that it caused her to have an abortion, something that Jaguar Wright has been saying. Saint LaShawn also alleged that World News had placed a camera in a woman he was dating bathroom, and it was discovered while the woman's child was taking a shower. Saint LaShawn also alleged that World News takes pictures of people's children off of the internet and saves them for personal use. All right, so there's a lot going on. That was a good video to watch because Queen Tulsa wants to put together a committee of people to find out if it's true, the allegation that World News is not supposed to be on the internet because he's already been in trouble in the past for cyber stalking people. So Queen Tulsa wants to put together all of the victims that she can find of World News to hold him accountable for all of the things that he has done to traumatize other people. St. LaShawn said that she was traumatized by her experience with World News, and she alleged that World also hacked into her computer, and there are allegations that World News has hacked into multiple people's computers, cell phones, bank accounts, and cash apps. The video above that says World News, I got them pictures by YouTuber Darrell the Emperor Caesar. Now, the reason why I highlighted these two particular videos out of the 138 in my playlist is because one of them is just not even 24 hours old right now. And the other video goes back 4 years. So between 4 years and less than 24 hours ago, 138 videos still remain up exposing World News on YouTube. So if there are 138 videos up now, imagine how many got deleted because people just left YouTube, deleted their channels, or whatever. There's a YouTuber who actually quit YouTube for a little while. Now she's back. I'll talk about her in my next video. Here's another screenshot from the playlist. From the top of the playlist, there's a short video that World News posted as Marquisio Watson 9 years ago. So that's at the top. I wanted you guys to see how heavyweight he was 9 years ago. And I have a side-by-side for you in this video of how thin he is now. The video below that, Surviving World News, Domestic Violence. This lady made a video posted by Polygon 3 years ago. She alleges World News beats women, that he was on, allegedly, heavy drugs, such as something like cocaine or something like that, and that she wishes she never met him, and she's embarrassed to even say that she ever dealt with him, and she can't believe that he's on the internet exposing Nature Boy because he's even worse than Nature Boy. Those are the allegations that she made in that video 3 years ago. The next one below that, World News and his criminal record, by Ashanti Ya Asantewa, and her title is Because I'm Clout Chasing, because that's what World News loves to say about everyone who exposes him. Meanwhile, he spends his whole 10 hours a day on the internet exposing other people, but in his imagination, it's only clout chasing if somebody else does it. But she goes over whatever she found of his criminal record 3 years ago, so there might be more details in that video. And then, of course, the Back Chat Fred video, World News, Nigga You Gay, is in there. King World tells on himself in stalking and hacking. This is in World's own words, out of his own mouth. He speaks in detail about how he hacks and stalks people. King World Tutorials, another video in which he goes into great detail of how he hacks into people's Facebook accounts. I'm going to show you a screenshot from this particular video because it's in his own words. I want you guys to actually pay attention to these videos. Actually, these three. That's what I want you guys to pay attention to. And that's why I put them really close to the top. Okay? These three videos are super important because here you're going to listen to how World News argues with people who are not arguing with him. He screams and yells and hollers and doesn't let people get a word in. He's wrong and then he's strong. He's wrong and strong, right? He usually has a false, incorrect, faulty premise. And then he tries to force people into that. And when they realize that he's like mentally incompetent, he gets like really upset and just screams and yells over them. But they all stayed very calm, very patient, and very polite with him, even though he was being completely uncivilized with them. He doesn't understand the meaning of words beyond like a 3rd or 4th grade reading level. Like his comprehension of words is lacking. So he uses the wrong words a lot, and he doesn't comprehend the words that other people are saying to him. So even when they're not arguing with him, he creates an argument to cover up the fact that he does not comprehend. But these people were very nice and kind and patient with him. And they even told him, I'm not arguing with you. And they continued trying to be in a conversation with him, even though he was being extremely disrespectful and aggressive, like a wild animal. So if you guys watch these 3 videos, you'll see how he does. If you was to put on a timer, the other person would not even say a sentence. World News would cut them off and just ramble. He's like a savage. It's so weird. So someone put a comment under one of his videos. The tea got you quiet as a church mouse. I thought you said you would smack the shit out of her in court. That was real gangster, clown. You actually afraid to join your boo, nature boy. To which World replied, LOL, too funny. But he didn't deny saying that he would smack the shit out of the tea in court. The tea is another YouTuber, okay, who had to take legal action against World News. All right. He started harassing her out of the clear blue sky. He went to the T's Instagram page, I think, and she exposed it. I'm going to show you guys which video on which she exposed it. But he went to her Instagram page and left her a very disturbing, sinister, creepy, deep voice, message like, oh, you need to give me my credit because I've been covering Nature Boy and you don't mention me. You don't give me no shout out. Nobody owes you credit, shout out, nothing. There's so many people. There have to be over 100 people, literally, on YouTube that covered Nature Boy. He was active for like 5 or 6 years straight. And to me, as an outsider looking in, Nature Boy, I think, what was he doing? He was doing so much. He got arrested so many times that literally it seemed like every 6 months, a whole new crop of YouTubers were covering him. And I guess after a few months, they would just get exhausted, and just move on to other things, but not World. So World developed this habit of thinking that everyone should give him credit. And he was not the first person to cover Nature Boy, and he's not the last. So for him to call the T on her Instagram page and say that she needs to give him credit, and he said it in such a nasty, menacing, intimidating, hostile voice. It's like something you would hear in a horror movie. Why is he doing that? Why is he approaching women acting like a very dangerous, violent criminal in his first interaction towards the T? And then after that, he started to call her the Kool-Aid and started to discredit her channel. He made up all types of unfounded lies. He didn't show no proof and no receipts that the T was working for Nature Boy. Never showed proof, never was able to prove it, but he put it out there to discredit the T, turned people against her, and people went for it. I don't know why. They just believed him, took his word for it, and they still make disparaging remarks about the T, and they completely ignore the fact that World News went over to her and left her a scary message, harassing her, demanding that she give him respect that he has never earned. So I want to know how World News went from being a little head, big body criminal to a little body, big head criminal. That's what I want to know. What happened to you? How did you go from being buff with, like I said, a little head and a big body to a big head and a little body? I don't know what you be smoking in them videos that you be doing, because I know you be smoking cigarettes and you sit there and roll what you say is weed, but I don't know if you smoking the weed or if the weed is smoking you. You look emaciated, world. Okay, get help. You might need to go to rehab with Smokey O. Tony. Y'all love smoking that garbage and get on the internet and start acting crazy. Completely irrational, unreasonable, and uncivilized. Okay, last time I checked, nobody likes having their phone calls recorded and put on the internet. The things that World News does are things that people protest against the government for. Don't spy on me. Don't record my calls. Don't post my personal information. Don't follow me everywhere that I go. Don't track me. World is doing everything that is the opposite of what we consider to be what makes America a free country, a democracy. Now, of course, we know with cell phones and the internet, it's all tracking and recording and following and listening to us, but we don't like it. We don't feel like that is the definition of freedom. So for World to pick up those behaviors and do it to other people, the question is, would World want someone to do all of the things that he does to other people to him? Would World want someone to record all of his phone calls, put them on the internet, track all of his movements, put them on the internet, find all of his addresses, put them on the internet, find all of his relatives, his children, all of the women that he slept with or sleeps with, and put all of that on the internet? He wouldn't like it. And this is the reason why he has all of these different jumbled up, mixed up religious beliefs, so that he doesn't have to have any moral standards. He has no standard to be held accountable to. I'm going to need him to pick one religion so we can narrow down what he is supposed to be doing and hold him accountable to it. Right? So far, he constantly praises the noble Drew Ali. Okay, so we have that standard to hold him to. What is their code of conduct? He's obviously not following any code of conduct. He talks about Minister Louis Farrakhan. The Muslims do not act like that. They do not carry themselves like that. They don't dress like teenagers. They don't wear cartoon t-shirts at 45 years of age. Okay? They dress like professional men. They are clean cut, clean shaven, and they dress up, unlike World. He has no standard at which he's being held to by himself or anyone else. This is the video that the T did on World News, the criminal stalker and habitual predator, timeline of harassment. It's funny here, somebody put a comment, if Dukulu was smart, he would separate himself from him. How Dukulu sits there and observes World News, invading other people's privacy, posting recordings of people's private conversations in the inside of their home on the internet, and Dukulu sits there and pretends that's okay, and all of the people that's on Beam Team sit there and pretend that's okay. The question is, would you like it if it was done to you? If someone found a problem with you, they make up a problem, they pretend that it's true, they have no proof, no evidence, no receipts, and they just talk about it over and over and over and over again every day. It's old chewed gum. Over and over again every day for 10 hours a day. They chew the same gum. And then eventually, one or two things that they've said over the course of a month comes out to be true. And then they just celebrate as if everything they've said is true. And it's not. I would say 1 out of the 10 theories that they come up with turn out later to be true. So the other 9 things that they said that were false are just lies and rumors and gossip that they just put out into the world. But would they like it if somebody had a channel of 10 people that picked on each one of them and put all of their pictures of their family members, their job, their house, where they go for vacation, where they travel to when they go to different states? If someone tracked them the way they tracked other people, the question is, would they like it? If they wouldn't like it, why are they doing it? Y'all are not the police, or are you? Are you the police? Are you the FBI? Are you the CIA? Is that where your authority to gang stalk people comes from? If you guys do research on YouTube, you will find that they find the absolute worst low-life criminals in the criminal justice system, and they recruit them to become snitches. So World News absolutely fits the prototype. He doesn't seem to have any education, training, or skills to actually get a job. The allegations are that he lives off of women. He lives in some women's houses, drives their cars, sits up on their internet, depending on women that he's not attracted to. The allegations are that he gets on the internet and he buys foot pictures from women, that he has a foot fetish, that he basically sends money to women who do, I guess, like online sex work, that he does all of these like sexual activities behind the women, whoever he lives with, back, because he only lived with those women for a place to stay, not because he's attracted to them. So there's like a whole number of women who he's interacted with in terms of getting naked pictures from them, fellow female YouTubers. And then when they fall out, one of them alleged, Clydiva, her video is in the playlist, she said that he released her naked pictures. And Crenshaw allegedly said the same thing. And at the time that he was releasing their naked pictures, he was living with an older woman, and her name was Miss World News. Now he's with a different woman. And she gets on the internet and tries to say, oh, yeah, he's fine. This is his job. This is what he likes to do. So I don't know if she's afraid of him, if he's beating her up allegedly or intimidating her allegedly. I don't know what he's doing. But I don't personally, a man to me is one who gets up and goes to work every day. Okay? I like a man with a union job. Got to get up early, make that good money. It keeps you strong and healthy, as well as able to provide for yourself. The man is supposed to be the provider. And it must be a miserable existence living with someone for a place to stay. That's probably why he could spend 10 hours on the internet, because he's not really that into his partner. And he calls her goddess. That's how he brainwashes her and brainwashes the general audience into thinking that he really cares and he really loves her. But somebody who could be so uncivilized on the internet is obviously like he's an angel at home. Somebody needs to go give a welfare check on that woman, separate her from World, and find out, like, is she scared of him? Can she get away from him? If she was to tell him to get out of her house, would he leave? Or is she scared he'd come back and hurt her? I'm quite sure she's aware of all of his internet activity, profiling people, tracking them. So she might be afraid, you know, or, you know, she could be a part of the operation. You know, a lot of times they put agents together. They'll have a male and a female be a couple, and they'll both be like agents, you know. They made TV shows about stuff like that. All right, guys, sorry if I'm rambling like World News. I've been researching him, like I said, for the past 2 weeks. So I'm doing my best not to even curse, because I'm just really disgusted by this demonic spirit. All right, so the T channel did this video, World News, the criminal stalker and habitual predator, timeline of harassment. All right, very good video. She showed a lot of different people, stories in this video. This guy posted up on Facebook a few years ago. He said that when World News got out of jail, he gave World News a job. He gave World News a place to stay, like a house or an apartment. And he introduced World News to a very attractive young lady, and World News was dating her. The man said World News did not go to work as the man told him to. World News started to physically abuse the lady. This is what the man alleges in this T video. The man says the woman called him crying, saying that, you know, World News is putting hands on me. He done pushed me up against the wall in Walmart in public. And the man said, he told World News, I helped you get a job. I put you in a home. I helped you get that woman. And this is how you disrespect me after everything I've done for you? So the man said he told World News, I'm coming over there personally, me, myself alone, to kick your ass. And the man said World News bought a Greyhound bus ticket and skipped town. So he was quick to put his hands on that woman. And he ran away from the man when the man was going to come and put hands and feet on World News. And of course, men who beat women are cowards. That's to be expected. This is a YouTuber Flame Facts TV. Okay, he has a couple of channels. I think he also goes by Sui. He did a video in 2021, Jazzy versus the Fairies, Auntie Big Nose book, World News. Why so obsessed with Golden and Camille and soul energy? So here's a man, a YouTuber, who's saying, World News, why are you so obsessed with Golden and Camille, who is young Pharaoh's baby mothers, and soul energy, who was one of World News's mods? And so World News was making a lot of videos being extremely rude and disrespectful to these three women. In World News's imagination, it's okay to bash and insult and lie on women when he feels that there's a problem. Now, Golden and Camille have done nothing to him. Those are young Pharaoh's baby mothers. And World News took it upon himself to make some very disparaging remarks about them just because he doesn't like young Pharaoh. That's a logical fallacy. I'll go over logical fallacies in my next video because I'm going to be debunking all of World News fake knowledge. And all he does is commit logical fallacies, deflections, gaslighting, just lying, just straight up making stuff up off the top of his head. But their theories and the way that they discuss them, it's all logical fallacies. Like, they don't know how to think and process information over there at all. And they should have told him, leave Camille and Golden alone, because World News is about 45 years old. Camille and Golden are in their early 20s. They're half his age. Okay, so of course they're going to be naive. Of course they're going to be dumb. Of course they don't have life experience yet. What they're going through right now with young Pharaoh, they have said allegedly that both of young Pharaoh's parents are schizophrenic. Young Pharaoh has said that he was put out of his house at a very young age. And it's alleged that young Pharaoh didn't even finish elementary school. So if both of his parents are schizophrenic, then that definitely would indicate that he have a very high likelihood of being schizophrenic or mentally ill himself. Then if he was put out of the home at a young age, he experienced a lot of trauma. Young Pharaoh has been to jail. Young Pharaoh has been showing signs of deep mental illness for the past year or two. And it seems to be potentially drug related. He may have taken some mushrooms that altered his mind in a way that he has not been able to recover. And the thing is, if a person has a latent mental illness and then they do drugs and it brings it out, now you can't undo it. You see? So for World News to really talk down on Golden and Camille, two young girls in their 20s, they're mothers, they have small children, and they're dealing with all of this stress of their baby father. Young Pharaoh admitted to hitting both Golden and Camille, and both Golden and Camille confirmed that young Pharaoh did in fact beat on them. So why World News thought it was appropriate to further beat on them, to beat them down with his words on several occasions, on several videos, and several different days, is illogical. At the very least, he should have said, they're half my age, they're young and dumb. Hopefully this experience will mature them and they won't make bad decisions like this in the future. But he doesn't have the capacity to think things through. He doesn't like Pharaoh, so he's going to just attack these women because they're associated with Pharaoh. Anyway, Soul Energy was one of his mods. She used to be on his panel and stuff like that, and they fell out because I put the videos in the playlist that Soul Energy explains what happened, as well as a woman named Goddess Sekhmet. Them two, they was dealing with World and he flipped out on them. And those two young ladies were like in their 20s, young women, way younger than World. And he started calling them names and talking bad about them. And then the 10 people that were in his beam team, they all join in. It's like, it's really crazy. It's really sad that people don't have the capacity to think things through. But like I always say, that's what happens when you don't have a relationship with God. It makes people go dumb, deaf, blind, and retarded. This content creator, Darrell the Emperor Caesar, he's the one who has the video with his finger to his mouth and says that he has pictures of World News. And you know, allegedly, gay position, like actually performing some type of homosexual acts. So he's still active on YouTube, and he has a 4-year past history with world news. So I'm quite sure he has a lot of dirt, a lot of experience, and a lot of information on world news. Okay, and his email address is dccaesar@gmail.com. Darrell the Emperor Caesar. Goes back 4 years of dirt on world news. This content creator is still active on YouTube, The Huggy Pacino Effect, and as well, his videos, Darrell the Emperor Caesar, are in my playlist. Huggy Pacino has made numerous videos on world. His videos are in my playlist as well. He goes back with world news, probably back to the Kanika Jenkins days. Okay. And he's still active on YouTube. So Huggy Pacino is another person who goes back a few years of a lot of dirt on world news. The Indirectly Direct podcast. They also have done a couple of videos on world, which are in my playlist. And the timing of him with world news seems to go back to the Kanika Jenkins case as well. So these are YouTubers who are still active on YouTube, who know a lot about world news. The Indirectly Direct channel holder made this one of his videos. It goes back 3 years. It says Carbonation Commentator, Master Manipulator, World News Exposed. Okay, so his videos are in my playlist. This is the one that was done by Queen Tulsa in less than 24 hours ago from the time of me making this video now. It says exclusive, victim shares experience. And she adds Sherelle's World, Perry Sanders, and King World. And I understand why she added Sherelle's World and Perry Sanders, because they have been promoting and endorsing world news. And to the extent that when someone came up on their panel and said world has a very long history of being very uncivilized on YouTube, they immediately cut that person off, shut them down, dropped them off the panel. They said they didn't care. So with all of this information coming out, we have to start looking at people who endorse this kind of behavior sideways. Because again, you have to ask the question, would you like it if a panel of no less than 10 people tracked your every move, posted all of your family's pictures and all of your locations, and made disparaging comments about you for 4 to 10 hours at a time on an almost daily basis, and turn thousands of people in their audience against you with their speculation, lies, and rumors, only a small percentage of which turn out to be proven with some type of factual evidence? See, they make up a story first as the reason to track people. Then they find out something later, and then they say, oh, look, we found something. But is that legal? Is that lawful? Is it your business to take away other people's freedom by invading their privacy? Would you like your privacy to be invaded the way you invade other people's privacy? There's a couple that filmed and recorded Velvet and Solar inside of their home through their cell phone, and they gave all of the footage to World News. Now, this couple, a male and female, they have a child or children, just like Velvet and Solar are a couple with 2 kids in the home. How would the couple that filmed them and recorded them and gave the footage to World News, who then put it on the internet, how would that couple feel if it was the other way around? If it was Velvet and Solar who was pretending to be their friend, sitting up in their house, having conversations with them as a friend, but secretly video and audio recording them for several weeks? How would they feel if somebody did that to them in their home where their children are? I bet you they wouldn't like it. So why did they feel like it's okay to do it to Velvet and Solar? And I'm not going to lie. I listened to the recordings and I didn't hear anything that was criminal. I didn't hear anything that was, you know, like you could take it to the police and get somebody arrested. So it's like, if it's not an extreme emergency, there's no need to do that. Now, mind you, if I thought my neighbor was like a serial killer or, you know, a child predator or beating up on each other, like a couple having domestic violence fights, I might, you know, record on them and give it to the police. But just a random internet couple, and the information was not even that serious. They talked crap about each other behind each other's back. Solar said mean things about Velvet behind her back, and Velvet said mean things about Solar behind his back. Guess what? They're still together now, and Velvet is pregnant by Solar, and they're together. So even though they said mean things about each other, they're still together. Like, that's the worst thing I heard. So there was no real basis for recording them and then putting it on the internet. There was no information in those recordings that was like, oh, wow, we really needed to hear this. We needed to know that. Nothing. Anyway, Queen Tulsa wants people who are victims of world news to email her at queentulsadirect@gmail.com. Queen Tulsa wants to put together world news's victims and witnesses of world news's ways that he has inflicted trauma upon other people by his invading their privacy. She wants to get everybody together. So anyway, in the video where the man was talking about how he gave world news a home, a job, and an attractive woman to keep him company, this is some of the words from the transcript. This is the T channel video exposing world news, which is in the playlist. He said, you're 40 and mentally manipulating people. Putting your hands on people is not how you resolve in the streets. Okay, the blanks are curses. He said, in your personal life, you had all kinds of different options. Walk away, de-escalate. You could have just yelled and kept your hands in your pocket. Even if she, curse word, swung on you, you really can't take a hook from a woman, but you can go to prison and talk about how you did all this killing and stabbing and hustling and robbing, you dick in the booty ass nigga. You, your family, your mama, whoever raised you, and whoever. Whole bunch of curse words. So the man was not able to put his own hands and feet on world news in retaliation. So he went on Facebook and cursed world out and exposed him for being a coward. Okay, he's like, you talk tough, like you was like a big killer and stabbing people in prison, but you come out and you put your hands on a woman? World News gets called out by a Jazzy G supporter. That video was in the playlist. World News allegedly exposed as a woman beater, liar, ex-convict, and scammer. This video was in the playlist as well. But what does World News do when he got on the internet back in 2016? With a red, black, and green flag, he knows nothing about Marcus Garvey's teachings. I have a conspiracy theory that World News is not even black. I think World News and Deculu are racist Hispanics. World News claims that he speaks fluent Spanish. And World News, the only person that he cared about when he was covering Nature Boy and Carbonation, the only one person he cared about was Mama Dia. And she's like a Spanish speaking, you know, from the Honduras or someplace like that. And recently he was on Perry's panel and Jaguar had said some mean words. She said, I made those niggers and spics do my work. She said something really rough like that. And World News was like, well, I just want to say, I don't want to offend the Hispanic community. You know, we don't want to say anything hurtful or offensive to them. And I was like, wow, I'm seeing a pattern here. World only stands up for Hispanics, but he's very quick to bash black people every day, all day. And if you look at his hair and you look at Deculu's hair, they don't have 9 ether hair. They get on the internet and lie and say that they're indigenous, but you can tell that they're not by the texture of their hair. Those are mixed people. They're Hispanics, and you know Hispanics can be, not all of them, but they do have a culture that's racist towards black people. So I feel like Deculu and World, instead of exposing that the Spanish-speaking countries are the highest in the world for drug production and distribution, as well as murders, not the black countries, the Spanish-speaking ones are the highest on the list, and definitely not the African-American community. but they fixate on the African American community. I don't understand. Deculu had made videos talking about Rod Hayes, tell us your background. Who's your mother? Who's your father? Where did you grow up? Where did you come from? Deculu, we have the same questions for you. These people are so weird and irrational. Where did you come from, Deculu? Who's your mother? Who's your father? Show us your pictures. Someone did. And it turned out the whole pictures, the family was like white Mexican. Okay. And Deculu looks white. His hair, his nose, his skin, everything. Okay. Neither one of them have any black man swag. They don't have any black male energy. They have very weak energy. They both have children. I don't see how either one of them is saving up money for their children's college and for their future. I don't see how either one of them is providing a quality of life for their family. A high quality, not a low quality. That should be your priority. But Deculu will sit on World News panel for hours, and then he'll follow up by going on his channel and repeating, re-chewing the already overly chewed gum that they already discussed with 10 different people. A whole bunch of brainstorming and speculation that they call building. And then Deculu goes on his platform and repeats it again. Right? This is what these men do. Instead of actually being the sole provider to provide a decent quality of life for their family, they find it more interesting to degrade African Americans when the Hispanic people in their own culture have the higher numbers in the world for drugs and murder. Why don't they address that? Why don't they never talk about what's going on in all these Spanish-speaking countries? Anyway, World News had a fake persona as a Black Power person on the internet, and he had the nerve to post domestic violence in the conscious community. Why are you talking about domestic violence, sir, when you are exposed as a woman beater, liar, ex-convict, and scammer yourself? You see how this goes? Scripture says a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. And that's why I love following scripture, because you can hold me accountable to scripture and I can hold other people accountable to scripture. The world does not believe in scripture. He believes in men. He don't believe in God. He believes in Louis Farrakhan, Drew Ali. He believes in humans, right? He will say all type of wonderful praises about Drew Ali and Farrakhan, but you never hear him praise God. The only thing I ever heard him say even remotely close to God is a higher power. How is it that you was the top imam in your prison that you was in for years and you have no reverence for God? And a Muslim at that? You're supposed to be praying 5 times a day, so you never stop giving praises to God. How do you go from being the top imam in prison to now you worship Drew Ali and Farrakhan? Oh, that's right. Because when people go to prison, they join the Muslims for protection. So basically, that's what you did, because you're not sticking to no Muslim principles. World News goes on to say, December 23rd, 2020, Crack Kermit, aka Charleston White, lies on a woman claiming she is a whore. Look at this woman. Does that look like a black woman to you? Look how he stand up for this woman. She must be Hispanic. He loves standing up for white people and Hispanic people and white Hispanics. How can you say that Charleston White lies on a woman claiming she is a whore, etc., when you've told numerous lies on Kamel, on Golden Beauty, on Soul Energy, Goddess Sekhmet, when they left your Beam Team? All of the people who leave the Beam Team, you go on a whole narcissistic rant and campaign to smear them. All of the things you said about the tea, all of the things you said about Sweet Ma. He goes on to say, people like Charleston White should not be able to stream live, being that he disrespected this woman, lied on T.I., and talked shit about Gunna. Can you imagine? Somebody like World News says people like Charleston White should not be able to stream live, being that he disrespected this woman, this white Hispanic woman. That's what World News worships. Lied on T.I., the rapper, and talked shit about Gunna. World News does this online every single day for hours and with a whole group of 10 other people. So if Charleston should not be able to live stream, why should World? You see the mental lacking in World News, the logical fallacy, the nonsense, the intellectual incompetence. Okay. Okay. Maybe it's the drugs. I don't know. I don't know what he's smoking that made him go from big body, little head to big head, little body. The drugs are smoking you. You're not making any sense. You're guilty of the things you accuse people of. You start problems with black women. You praise and worship white Hispanics. What's that about? Who are you? What is your identity? What is your true ethnic background? Your hair is not nine ether. So he sits in this, I don't know what it is, a room, I have no idea, this close to the heater for 4 hours talking about Jaguar and Goomba. This guy has no self-awareness. He can't see that he looks bad, that this looks very bad, that you're gossiping about other people, which is forbidden in the Quran. Okay? Gossiping, backbiting. World News went on a female content creators platform who's Muslim, and there was a panelist on there who was also Muslim, and World News screamed on both of them on her own platform and told her, oh, you a Muslim woman, you're not supposed to be on the internet gossiping. World, you said you was the top imam when you was in prison, so you supposed to be her leader if you was really a real imam, which is the equivalent to like the preacher in a church. So if you was up there at that high level that you claim you was in the prison world, how are you going to tell a woman she's a Muslim she can't be online gossiping, but you do it every day for 4 to 10 hours at a time? King World, ex-Nature Boy supporter. This video was also in the playlist. Also, it was exposed in the T's video. World News had made some posts on social media. I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram, but World News had posted when Carbonation got arrested. World News had posted something like, we got arrested. We need help. Share this. So World News thought he was part of the Carbonation family at one time. Below that, it says 3 a.m. and the JIDAG is still bothered by Goomba Head and Nikki. How do you know how Jaguar feels at 3 a.m. unless you're up at 3 a.m. with her? A year ago, because now he said that this about Jaguar just like recently, but a year ago, Soul Energy, one of the women that he was harassing because she didn't want to be on the Beam Team anymore, she did a video saying, up early trolling, the alleged god of trolls, World News exposed. So he's sitting here talking about Jaguar being up at 3 a.m. Meanwhile, he's getting up early trolling. And look at his hair. That is not a black person's hair. Okay? That's not indigenous hair. That's not nine ether hair. Okay? I have my own little conspiracy theory. Since they like to make up stuff and talk about it for 50 years. I'm speculating that World and Deculu are racist Hispanics. They look down on black people. And of course, Deculu has a wife. She's extremely dark. But racist people do stuff like that all the time. But they're not covering what's going on with their people. What's going on with the Spanish-speaking people? They do far more crime in terms of drugs and murders than black people. And absolutely far beyond what African Americans do. I have the chart to prove it. I've showed it before in the past. I'll show it again in my next video. Anyway, here's some more logical fallacies, faulty thinking, nonsense from World News. He says, King Pain rejects King World live on Instagram. So he started calling King Pain a whole bunch of times, and King Pain refused to pick up the call for whatever reasons. We don't know. Then he says, Queen Lame, talking about King Pain, waits till I'm asleep to go live with Jaguar Wright. World News, I think he says he lives in North Carolina. King Pain says he lives in California. How would King Pain know that World News went to sleep and then go live with Jaguar Wright? Then, here goes King World. Queen Lame, I'm home now on California time, Ziggly Popper. Then he goes, I'm late but ready. King Pain did not make any agreement to speak with World, to meet up with him, to talk with him on live. None of the above. None of the above. King Pain was on his live, interacting with his audience, and World News popped up on his live on Instagram, and King Pain was shocked. Like, how is it possible that World just invited himself into my live like a panelist on his Instagram live? Like, how is that possible? But just like I showed you guys the screenshot from the other video where World News said that he was hacking into people's Facebooks. I guess he figured out how to hack Instagram so that you don't even have to invite him up or pick him, and he could just pop up on your screen like he's part of your live making a conversation with you. I've never seen anything like that before. King Pain was noticeably startled. I don't have that video in the playlist because I couldn't find it. I don't know what the title of the video is or where it is, where it exists. It might be on World News channel somewhere. World News frequently deletes a lot of videos or they get flagged. I don't know. But I remember when it happened. I saw it when it happened. I wasn't live with them, but I watched the video later on that night. And I was like, wow, how is he doing that? Anyway, look at the logical fallacy, the falsehood, the faulty thinking. All right? Because I've watched King Pain's show when he interviews Jaguar and Goomba and Solar, people like that. And King Pain always advertises what he's doing professionally. And so the times that I have watched King Pain, he said that he's on a reality show and he has another one, like a different one that he's going to be on coming out this summer. And he said he's developing his own dating show. So that's 3 different shows that King Pain is involved in. King Pain also said that he did a commercial recently. So for World News to think that King Pain should just be available to talk to World News when World News says King Pain should be available is completely, it's not only wrong, but it's intellectually, what's the word? It's like, it's not intellectual at all. It's like mental retardation. Okay? Even if King Pain was not filming reality TV shows and commercials, why do you think that somebody would be available when you are or on your time? Talking about you're late but ready. He didn't make any agreement to meet you. You're home now on California time. So what? Queen Lane waits until I'm asleep to go live with Jaguar. What are you talking about? None of this stuff makes any sense. I've heard King Pain say that he has 2 relatives that he's taking care of, like young people in his family. Maybe a family member can't do it for whatever reasons. Right? So there's so many reasons why you would not be available when King World is available and wants to talk to you. And there's so many reasons why you would not want to talk to World News. He's not a good person. He always says things that are not true. He's a pathological liar. He always says on other people's platforms, oh, if you got something to say to me, come over to my platform and say it to me. Now, if you go over to his platform and you say it to him, a YouTuber whose videos I put in the playlist, KOM, Knockout Media, he made videos about it. He went over to World News platform. And World News will not let him talk. World News muted him, dropped him off the panel, and said that he ran from the debate. The man did not run. World News did not let him speak. And World News, what he also does, I've seen him do this several times. World News tells people, okay, you talk. I'm going to mute up. As soon as you start talking, he starts talking over you and starts screaming and yelling over you. So he's a pathological liar. He doesn't have the intellectual capacity to process and comprehend information. So he starts screaming and yelling to cover that up, to hide it. that he's not capable of thinking things through? Why are you telling people to meet you on your platform and then you refuse to let them talk? You say you're going to mute up and you don't. You scream and yell and holler and don't let people get one sentence. And I really mean it. If somebody is really skilled in editing videos, check out the 3 videos that I told you guys to check out that show World screaming on people who are not arguing with him, and put a timer of how long World News talks versus how long he lets the other person talk. And how many times he says, okay, you talk. And then as soon as they say like a few words, he starts yelling over them over and over again, over and over again. And these people are being so patient with him. So someone told King Pain, World is begging to be investigated for cyber stalking and harassing people. And someone said, I'm convinced he wants to be infamous. He doesn't care as long as it's clout. And someone said, that boy trying to go back to prison to live his girlfriend life out, his fantasy. And someone said, this took me out. Now, considering that World News put up that picture of those 5 men with their butts out and said he likes to do a standing up, I mean, maybe World did enjoy his time in prison. They do say that when gay men try to be like straight with women, they become violent and aggressive and abusive because they don't really like the women. This video is in the playlist, King World Tutorials. It says, shout out to Girl News. He always snitches on himself. He makes it so easy to build a case against him. The mind of a sociopath that just loves to be noticed. He loves the mind games. A sick and twisted individual who continues to lie. And he hasn't changed at all. Hacking, doxing is punishable up to 20 years in prison. All those priors. Woo! The man is the 6'9" of snitching on himself. Lights out. You're going home to the Bobby Booty Room. Don't forget the Vaseline. You won't have to see my whack channel anymore. King World Tutorials. So King World says, okay, check it, right? It's really not that hard, you know what I'm saying? To hack a Facebook page. To keep it all the way real with you, you know, the reason why I'm making this upload, you know what I'm saying? Because I had a brother, you know what I'm saying, who actually experienced it, you know. It happened to me like over 2 years ago. You know what? So in the video, King World Tutorials, which is in the playlist, World News is literally giving a tutorial on how to hack Facebook. He's claiming because somebody did it to him. So even though it was wrong when it was done to him, he's going to do it to other people now. He thinks 2 wrongs make a right. But he's doing like 1,000 wrongs. Who knows how many people he's hacked into, allegedly. Okay? And that's what it looks like when you're criminal-minded. Okay? And studies have shown that criminals have different brains than everybody else. So he may literally, you know, have, you know, an organic, you know, issue that cannot be fixed, cannot be resolved. You can't regrow brain tissue. You can't like regrow brain matter where it's missing. They're missing tissue in certain areas that deal with logic, reasoning, compassion. The frontal lobe part of the brain, criminals have distorted parts, like career criminals, people who've been in and out of jail, like somebody like World News. He may not have the capacity to go to school and get a trade. He was hollering and screaming and yelling at this woman who came on his panel because she said that she was giving Velvet a whole bunch of money. And World was hollering and screaming and yelling at her. And she maintained her composure. She stayed very calm, very kind, and very polite with him. And she was like, I'm not arguing with you. And he continued to holler and scream and talk over her. And she let him do it. And then when he was finished and she finally got to talk, she said, yeah, me and my husband, we're thinking about starting a company where we'll help people who are low income or whatever get their CDL for free. Oh, wow. World changed his tune. Then he started talking real nice to her. He was like, oh, yeah, that would be great. I would love that. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to hear. Now, after you just finished screaming and hollering and yelling and screaming at her, do you really think that she ever wants to talk to you again, much less have to interact with you over a period of time to help you get a free CDL license? Why can't you get your own CDL? All these years that you've been on the internet, you haven't made enough money to go and get your own CDL license to be a truck driver, which is good money for somebody with a criminal record. Why haven't you done that for yourself, world? After you finish hollering and screaming at that woman, do you see the opportunity that you lost for yourself? And now you want to try and be nice to her? It's too late, buddy. You already disrespected her with your hostility. I just thought it was so funny how they look alike, Donat and World. They went at each other. They had a big argument online. And then after I exposed Donat, World tried to go and be friends with him. And Donat was like, because it was on somebody else's panel, like Perry or somebody. And Donat was like, World, we might fall out again. So even though World was trying to cozy up, World was saying some weird, like, homosexual stuff towards Donat. Like, World kept saying, I fucks with you the long way. I fuck with you the long way. You just cursed him out like a week or two before that. And now you see him on Perry's panel and you want to tell, like, Perry gets like 15, 20,000 views on his video. And World had no shame to tell Donat, I fucks with you the long way. Is that prison talk? All right. But look how much they look alike. And the funny thing is, World came into the Kanika Jenkins, the Nature Boy, the Young Pharaoh, and the Jaguarite sectors behaving just like Donat. So World News is like Donat's grandfather. They have the same style of antagonizing people as a way to get attention and build their platforms. They go at people and start fights and conflicts. That's how they get attention. That's how they do business. Now, we're all co-workers. According to World, YouTube is his job. Now, YouTubers who make a lot of money on YouTube, they always make videos saying, never let this be your only source of income. Okay? World should have been got his CDL license by now. All right? But him and Donat, I don't think that they have the ability to sit still. Donat been saying he's in school for film for years. When is it over? When do you finish? When do you produce something that looks like you went to school for film? When is World News going to do something professional that will make him a respectable man in everybody's eyes? Sitting up on YouTube talking about women, black women all day. You damn for sure don't talk about no white women and no Hispanic women the way you talk about black women. Okay? That's how he feels it's the best way to make money. And so does Donat, off the back of women. Allegedly, Donat has 3 baby mothers. You think Donat's paying child support? You think Donat has saved up money for his children to go to college? You think Donat is saving money for his grandchildren? Okay? These are not good men. These are not righteous men. These are demonic spirits. They have no problem going around leaving children with women to bear the burden, and they go off and keep having sex with all the people they want. Never become professional men who can provide. What are the symptoms of being institutionalized? They described institutionalization as a chronic psychosocial state brought on by incarceration and characterized by anxiety, depression, hypervigilance, and a disabling combination of social withdrawal and or aggression. Becoming institutionalized, incarceration, and slow death. That's what happens when you don't have a relationship with God. It is a slow death. Everything that the power that God put in you from the time you was born, it just diminishes and diminishes and diminishes over time. What personality disorder do most prisoners have? This study revealed that nearly 1/3 of incarcerated in prison were found to have an antisocial personality disorder. Okay? 1/3. So not all incarcerated people come out and harass and terrorize and antagonize other people, but 1/3 do. And World definitely shows signs of antisocial personality disorder. He treats people in many, 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 many ways that he would not want to be treated himself. You know, and scripture talks about the same measuring stick that you use against other people will be used to measure you too. So the same standards that they're over there holding other people to, they will be held to. I've seen it happen in real life with myself and with others. And that's why it's best to just treat other people the way you want to be treated, because the way God has set this up, all this stuff is going to come back to y'all. So y'all can sit over there and pretend what y'all doing is right and it's okay. But that's why you always have to ask yourself, would I like it if it was done to me? Because it's going to be done back to y'all, and it's not going to be the same way. The same way y'all sat up in Velvet and Solar House and filmed their house and all their conversations that was private, unbeknownst to them, and put it on the internet. However you made them feel, however that made them feel. And it probably didn't make them feel that bad because they're still together. And because they already was putting their life on the internet with Nature Boy. So it probably wasn't that bad, but it's still a violation of trust and an invasion of privacy because they thought that y'all was really their friends. So when it happens to y'all, remember that. All of y'all Beam Team, when all of the stuff that y'all condoned, approved, and worked together to pull off, when it happens to you all, and it comes back to you in a different way, Velvet and Solar is not going to do it to you. Other people is going to do you dirty and betray your trust and reveal your personal private information in places and ways that you would not like it to be. Y'all going to get it back. That's how this world is set up. Everything you do comes back to you. That's why it's not a smart idea, and it shows a lack of intellectual capacity to do bad things. Cognitive dissonance. This is what the Beam Team suffers from. The state of having inconsistent thoughts, beliefs, or attitudes, especially as relating to behavioral decisions and attitude change. So they sit up on there, all those people. They talk about all the people world tells them to talk about. They investigate their private lives and invade people's privacy. And then they have cognitive dissonance when they see world go on other people's platforms like Perry's and Trees and start screaming and hollering and yelling at people that's not even arguing with him. Why haven't they told him that that's absolutely wrong? That it's rude, it's disgusting, it's uncivilized, it's not communication. Communication is a sender and a receiver. Perry sat up there and tried to laugh it off. He's like, okay, world, let us talk. Okay, world, let her talk. Okay, world, let her talk. 10 times in a row. Obviously, something is wrong with this man. Why is everybody pretending like it's okay? Treat people the way you want to be treated. Ask the question, would I want to be that person that world is screaming and talking over and won't let them get one sentence out? And he rants and screams and yells for 5 and 10 minutes at a time, never letting you get a word in. And then when he's finished hollering and screaming and yelling to prevent you from talking, he runs. He drops down off the panel. But then he'll accuse you of running when he's the one who runs away. The only way he can talk to you is if you allow him to abuse you verbally. And you have to take it for a long time and stay nice and cool and calm and collected the whole time. Wait for your time to talk, but only if you stay cool and calm. If you get the least bit agitated, he's going to cut you off, drop you, or he's going to leave the conversation. He won't tolerate you talking to him for not even 1 second the way that he talked to you for 15, 20 minutes or for several days, weeks, months, or years. He can't tolerate for a few seconds what he will do to other people for years. Okay? And for all of those people to sit there and accept that and pretend like there's nothing wrong is cognitive dissonance. Okay? You have to really have a lot of mental failures to tolerate all of that nonsense, repetitive conversations. And then he constantly repeats the same thing over and over again. It's already another day of a repetitive subject, but he has a repetitive circular way of speaking on top of that. I don't know how they deal with that, but that's what happens when you don't have no relationship with God. You get tied in with some demonic spirits and they rag, tag, and drag you. Anyway, here's something I found. Marquisio Watson, his name that he was using on Twitter. It says from the bottom, it says, this official got my pic on Facebook, Marquisio Watson. My first day on Twitter, hopefully I can get my followers up. Just got out of prison from doing 8 years, my 21 day out. I know it's about to get crazy. You know I'm your number one, right? Okay, about to give this Twitter a shot. I'm back. What's good? Hell yeah, I do. I don't know if somebody was interacting with him. It says 0 following, 21 followers. Brick Vegas is one of his millions of alleged troll accounts. Okay, that's another allegation that's been made. He's got millions and millions and millions of troll accounts, so he will harass you from a whole bunch of different pages, and you won't know that it's him. You will probably think it's the Beam Team or something like that. And I'm not going to argue with these people back and forth. Like, they are clearly lacking in mental capacity, in intellectual discourse, and, logic. So I won't be arguing with anyone from the Beam Team. Even when he tells women, oh, come over here and talk to the women overtalk the women. A woman will get up there and want to say something, and world will be like, well, don't talk to me, talk to the women. But they will overtalk her. They will do the same thing that world does. And they will say, oh, no, I'm not over talking you. And then 5 of them, they'll all ask questions. They'll all keep talking when the person is talking. It's very weird. They lack self-awareness. They don't know what communication is, a sender and a receiver. They don't know how to be quiet and stop talking. They don't realize that it's 5 or 6 or 4 or 3 women against one, and that all 3 of the Beam Team women are talking and not letting the one woman who came up to talk. They all have this same type of intellectual failing. And if you go back and watch their shows, you'll see what I'm saying. It's true. But they don't realize it. They don't see it. They don't comprehend it. They don't understand it. Okay? Why would anybody want to get up there and talk to any of you when you don't know how to listen? You don't know how to shut up and let other people talk. But you're constantly demanding that other people get up there and talk to y'all. For what? There's no intellectual discourse going on over there. There's no change going on over there. There's no building going on over there. There's no organization going on over there. There's no community building going on over there to go over there and talk to y'all about. Talk to a bunch of people who have no logic. So since World News believes that YouTube is his job, I Googled, what are negative workplace personalities? And so here are some of the attributes. If you're at work and you have a coworker who, has negative personality traits, what would that be like? It says here, they gossip, they're arrogant, control freak. Okay, that control freak is why they don't let people talk. They tell people, come over here and talk to me to my face. And then when you go over there to talk to them in their face, they all overtalk you, drop you, or they don't let you talk. They ask you 50 million questions. 5 people are talking to you at one time. They never let you get no words in. It's weird. Okay, literally put a timer on how long they talk and how long they let the other person talk. When somebody comes over there to confront them or criticize them or raise a problem or an issue. That's control. Control freak, narcissism, inflated sense of self. You can't tell those people that they're intellectually lacking. They think they're smart. They think everything they say is the truth and that they're always right. When 90% of the stuff they say can easily be debated and debunked. But they think everything they say is true. Apathetic. They really think that they're a team. They're a Beam Team. They think they're a family and a team. But what change are you really making in the world? Okay? There's a lot of things that need to be done, more so than just tracking weirdo cult leaders on YouTube. There's more important things that need to be done out in the world. I don't hear about any of them doing anything. So they're apathetic to reality. And that's probably why the fixation for so many hours every day, the same subject over and over again, keep re-chewing the same gum. That means that you don't care about real life. You would rather get lost in pure nonsense than to actually deal with what's really going on in the world. Blaming others. That's what their whole panel is about. 10 people get together to say something's wrong with those other people over there. But if you go check out my Jaguar Right Tokyo Tony challenge, I bet you will find that they cannot pass it. They're not well-rounded. They're not investing enough in themselves, in their own intelligence, in their own bodies, in their own spirit and soul. Are you complete with working on yourself or getting yourself to a very high level of development in each of the areas of your life? No, but you're very good at blaming others for 4 to 10 hours a day. Dishonest. I've lost count of how many things they say that are simply not true. And they spread it and pass it around and joke about it every day, over and over again. They created this rumor that Jaguar was selling body oil at the gas station. That was not Jaguar, right? They continued to say it every day. Every time I checked in, they kept bringing it up. Booty oil. I want your booty oil. They made a song out of it. It was not even Jaguar. So they've passed a rumor on the internet, gossiping, lying, being dishonest, saying that Jaguar was selling body oil out of her car. And it was never even true. And they perpetuated this lie, like, repeatedly. Indecisive. Okay. What is the real purpose of that channel? You started out in the Kanika Jenkins sector. You then moved on to the Nature Boy sector, then the Young Pharaoh, now the Jaguar Right. So you're not really caring about what's really going on and trying to solve problems in the community. You're just clout chasing. So your decision making is not based on anything concrete. It's based on something that's selfish and self-serving. And that's why there's a lot of jumping around to different areas where the clout is. The complainer. A lot of people talked about how World News gets mad and starts going off on people if they don't send him money, especially his mods. Allegedly, they have to pay for wrenches. And when they don't pay him, he gets mad and he goes off on them. Argumentative. That's what World News is most known for to people who are not in the Bean team, is being unnecessarily and unreasonably argumentative. Blamers. That's what the whole team is. Bossiness. The whole Beam team. They think they know what's best for everybody else's life, what everybody else should be doing, what they shouldn't be doing. Oh, Velvet, you need to put Solar out. They still together right now. So all that bossing around that y'all did, it didn't work. Chronic liar. Child, please. World News would sit up on his platform and say, I'm going to tell you guys about my criminal past. But of course, he leaves out all of the parts where he put his hands on women. He leaves out all of the parts where he's been tracking people over the internet, following people around, spying on them, hacking, allegedly. He leaves all of that out. Disrespectful. This is a common word that is repetitively associated with World News in the comment sections. Disrespectful, disrespectful, disrespectful. 9 times out of 10, he's being disrespectful to a black woman. But look how much he praised that white woman. Look how much he praised Hispanic women. Why does he hate black women so much? Who is his mother? Who is his father? Greed. World News feel like everybody should pay him for his time. No, sir. It's called get a job. Okay? You want to hoard all of the attention for yourself. He attacks other content creators who have not done anything to him. It's a strategy to try to scare them into leaving the internet. And one person did, Simply Anna. She came back to the internet, but World News and the Bean team harassed her so bad that she literally made a video that says why I'm leaving YouTube. And that video is in my playlist. But Simply Anna came back after a few months. So World News is not only greedy for money, other people's money that he didn't earn, but he's also greedy for attention. He feels like if anybody else is covering the subject, he has to push them out of business. That's not the American way. Capitalism is free enterprise. Capitalism is based on competition where everybody gets to compete on a level playing field, supposedly. Now, I know we don't live in a perfect world and everything don't go that perfect, but the way World News is going about it is even worse than capitalism. World is a dictator. He's trying to be a totalitarian, which is weird because he's not even smart enough to even properly discuss any of the stuff that he's talking about. Everybody that World News has been following around, Nature Boy, Young Pharaoh, Jaguar, these people are mentally ill. You can't fix that. Those people have to realize that they have a condition that needs daily medication and weekly therapy, and they have to commit to going through with that. Okay, you can't fix that. Talking crazy about crazy people is not fixing it. In fact, it just proves that you're crazy because you're not smart enough to realize that talking for 4 to 10 hours a day is not helping or fixing anything. If anything, you're making their conditions worse. Lazy. World, sit down in that chair all day long. A man is supposed to get up, go out and work and provide for his family. Okay? Sitting up there in those cartoon t-shirts, it doesn't look like you're making enough money to even provide for yourself. Low emotional intelligence. All that hollering and screaming and yelling he does at women and men too, but mostly women. And they're being so nice and so calm and so patient with him. It shows that he is a complete savage. Negativity. None of his videos are about anything good. Either he's doing negative news about the media, about the news media, celebrities, internet personalities. All he focuses on is the negative. He doesn't realize how unhealthy and toxic that is for himself. But I guess that's the vibration that he's on. So that's what he does. Rigid. The way he hollers and screams at people because he's trying to force them to dumb themselves down to his level so that he can comprehend their communication. That's very rigid because you're not well-rounded. You're not open-minded. You're not well-studied. You're not well-traveled. You have a very limited, small mind. And that small mind is extremely rigid. That's why you start hollering and screaming at people. So you don't have to deal with reality, which is sometimes it's not going to go the way you want it to go. Stubbornness. Okay, I haven't seen any change in world news since the time he came in the Nature Boy sector till now. Obviously, if people have been making videos exposing you for 4 years up until yesterday, and you still doing all of this, still stalking people stuff, that's beyond stubbornness. Victims, plenty of victims, plenty of people are traumatized by their experience of world news. And this is the type of coworker that we have on YouTube. He fits every single aspect of a negative workplace personality, every single one. And his beam team is following that lead. King World explains how and why young Pharaoh went crazy. Tell us how and why you went crazy. What happened to you that made you a career criminal? What's wrong with you that you can't get a trade? What's wrong with you that you didn't get your CDL license after all these years that you've been out of prison? What's wrong with you that you don't know how to talk respectfully to people who are speaking respectfully to you? What's wrong with you that you tell people to come over to your platform and talk to you directly and you mute them and you hang up on them and you tell people that they ran? What's wrong with you, world? Your mental capacity is too low for your age. Why are you not able to study, learn, and become a professional of some sort? Why? Because you have no relationship with God. You worship men. You worship Drew Ali and Farrakhan, and people on your platform worship Haile Selassie. God says you shall have no other gods before me. You shall not make yourself idols and worship them. That's what they do over there. They idol worship. And the reason why men like to perpetuate other men is because they hope to become those men one day. So World is brainwashing the audience by him giving Drew Ali credit and Farrakhan credit. Farrakhan and Drew Ali did not put your soul in your body. God did. But you don't want to worship God. You want to worship men. It says you shall not misuse the name of the Lord your God. World News calls itself the God of content, the God of trolls, the God of this, the God of that. World also calls itself the GOAT, which we know is the devil. But the funny thing is, I've heard World News tell people when they were speaking on his panel, they'll be like, oh, I told my kids to go outside. World will be like, don't call your kids kids. That's baby goats. Call your kids children. But how is World going to yell at people telling them don't call your kids kids because it means baby goats, but he refers to himself as the GOAT? Okay. It says, remember the Sabbath by keeping it holy. I was just watching a video with World. He doesn't know what the Sabbath is. He doesn't know what shalom means. How is it that you was the top imam in your prison? You was in prison for 8 years. You was an imam for years and you don't know that Muslims also respect the scriptures of the Bible? You don't know what the Sabbath is? So he says, well, I know the science of the days. I know that Saturday is the first day of the week, and no, Sunday is the first day of the week, and it's about the sun, and Monday is the moon day, and Tuesday is this and that, because I'm dealing with the etymology and the science. That is not science, okay? And it's not etymology. Like, this guy is weird. He doesn't know what words mean. And people are not picking that up. Well, his people aren't. The Beam team can't pick up that he don't know what he's talking about. But he literally said he doesn't even know what the Sabbath is and what it means. So why do people think he has any knowledge? The only knowledge he has is devil knowledge, because he has no knowledge of God. What knowledge has he shown that he has of the Quran? If he was a top imam in a prison, he's supposed to have parts of the Quran memorized. But when he was on Tree's panel and they started to say a Muslim prayer, he started hollering and screaming and yelling at them. That's a demonic spirit that can't tolerate a prayer. How was you the top imam in a prison and you lost your shit talking to two Muslims when they recited a prayer? He went crazy, berserk, screamed, yelled, cursed them out. And it wasn't even his platform. So you're disrespectful on somebody else's platform. You're talking to two Muslims. So why are you hollering and screaming and yelling at them? The Quran specifically say, do not argue with people even when they argue with you. So how was you a top imam in a prison? And I know more about the Quran than you. I read the Quran, but I was born Israelite. My God works for me, right? But I respect the fact in the Muslim culture that they pray 5 times a day. Why isn't world doing that? I don't understand. It says, honor your father and your mother. We've never heard of world's mother and father, especially his father. That's really where the problem is. What kind of father do you have? Did you have? You know, what kind of generational curses did you inherit from your father? You shall not murder. Allegedly, world abused a woman into her losing a child. You shall not commit adultery. As long as I've seen World on YouTube, he's dealt with a number of different women. He was with one woman at one time. Now he's living with another woman, and all of the women in between from the internet who've come out and exposed him. It says you shall not steal. Well, that's what he did. He was a robber and a thief, armed robbery. Now, if he was a real Muslim and he lived in a Muslim country, they would chop your hand off for stealing. They probably would have put him to death by now for all of these things he's done combined. His behavior would not be tolerated in a Muslim country. It says you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. All of the speculations that they make up against people, even saying that Jaguar was selling body oil and saying that to thousands of people, making up a song about it, and it just was simply not true. This is one of many examples. It's just something I could remember off the top of my head. It says you shall not covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. All right. So in LaShawn the Don's interview with Queen Tulsa, she was saying that World News is jealous of other content creators that get big numbers. That's why he picks fights with everybody, why he's always miserable and unhappy, because he doesn't understand why everybody's getting numbers except for him. Okay? It's because you're uncivilized, World. People sit back and they listen to how rude and disrespectful you are, how much hate you have inside of you because you have no relationship with God. And we hear that. We hear the hatred that lives deep in you. You're broken. You need a lot of help, but you can't just get it from being horrific to the world and to other human beings. You need to get right with God because your spirit is demonic. Okay, so if there's any hope for you, it's going to have to come from God. You might want to get a psychiatric evaluation, accept your diagnosis, and if they give you any medication, you want to take it because your behavior online is not civilized. It's not acceptable. It's not okay. Multiple people have all types of legal paperwork going on you. YouTubers. This is not, it's not acceptable. And there's no excuse for it at your age. You would think after all those years in prison, you'd be grateful to be out in the free world. I hope you get it together. All right, guys, stay blessed, and I'll see you in my next video.